Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Flanagan and I have been since 2008 the convener of the Master of Children's Literature program at Macquarie University and also the Graduate Diploma of Children's Literature. The purpose of tonight's webinar is to walk you through the program and what it involves. I've got a slide presentation that I'm going to be using that you'll all be able to see. Feel free to come in at any point with questions. I'm really happy to answer them as we go. So looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and I will get going. Okay, so firstly, in terms of key benefits of the program, I think that a really important feature of the Master of Children's Literature is that we offer the entire program online. We've done this for a number of years, and actually our external students outnumber our internal. So we very much cater for a cohort of students who aren't going to be present with us every week in the classroom. And we use a range of different techniques to motivate you when you're studying externally. There's a chance to participate in interactive discussions every week. You can listen to lectures, do group work with other people who are studying externally. And then we also hold internal classes each week. And if you're studying internally or studying externally, you can also combine the two. The program is also really flexible. Most of my students work full-time, so they combine full-time employment with part-time study. And actually, sometimes people seem a bit surprised, but the usual rate of progression is one subject per semester. So it takes quite a while to finish the program, but that's the kind of option that most people take. It takes a year and a half full-time. The third key benefit is that the teachers who work in this program all publish in the field of children's literature. I can say that with complete truth because the program is taught by myself and Dr. Robin McCallum. Both of us are kind of experts in the area of young adult fiction. Robin also works in picture books and we both work in film. So there's not a team of teachers. There's the two of us who I convene the program and Robin teaches on it. But it means that whatever unit you do, you'll have access to someone who is a dedicated expert in the field. And the other thing about the Children's Literature program at Macquarie is that in Australia, apart from our university, there actually aren't any named children's literature degrees available anywhere else. So if you're looking for a really unique specialist postgraduate qualification, this is it. There are other children's literature programs at universities around the world, but in Australia, there aren't. It's a very small specialist field. Having said that, we're a really successful master's program, and I think that's because the program speaks to people from a range of different vocational paths. So that is things like teachers, librarians, people who work in children's publishing, and even people who've just wanted to pursue or to turn a passion for children's books into a postgraduate qualification. In terms of how long the program is, I just said that the full-time program is 1 year and a half. You can actually apply for RPL, which is recognition of prior learning. And that means that students can apply for advanced credit for studies that they've undertaken at another university or professional work experience. So what that means is that if you have been working in a relevant field for more than 3 years, then you can actually get credit for 6 months of the program, and you can change the 1.5-year full-time program into a 12-month program. So I think that's quite an attractive option for a lot of people. and that's just something that you need to apply for when you're enrolling. And it is done on a case-by-case basis because there are certain criteria that you need to fulfil, and that's obviously something that you can check with me at any time, but that is an option there for people. Okay, what is the expected workload? Well, I just said that for most students, the normal progression is one subject per semester, and that's because the workload is fairly heavy. So the kind of standard Macquarie formula is that students need to, for each week, they need to multiply each credit point they're enrolled in by 3 hours. So all of the Masters of Children's Literature subjects are worth 4 credit points each, which means that they require approximately 12 hours of study each week over 15 weeks. So as you can imagine, if you're studying full-time, that is quite a commitment. What that translates to in real time is that you will need to read at least one children's novel per week, as well as 1 or 2 articles of secondary material, so of literary criticism. So when you're doing a unit like young adult fiction, where the books can be quite large, that is a fairly substantial it's a fairly substantial reading unit. And I do have students who sometimes say, but what about picture books? Surely picture books is shorter. But in picture books, actually, while the picture books themselves are quite short, that subject has got a really rigorous theoretical framework in visual semiotics, and the visual theory is quite, how can I put this nicely? The visual theory is quite dense. So again, it still means that it's a rather substantial commitment each week. So I would say that if you are hoping to enrol in this program and to combine it with full-time employment, or if you've got family requirements, like if you've got young children, I do think that one subject is ample. And what I usually say to students is perhaps do one in your first semester and then you can take 2 in the second to see if you can handle it. But it's way better having a fully informed expectation or knowledge of what's involved before enrolling in multiple subjects and then finding it quite difficult to complete the workload. So yeah, it is a heavy workload. I hasten to say it's very enjoyable and rewarding as well. I hope it's not off-putting. Okay, so the core units and assessment. What we have here is we have 24 credit points. Sorry, we have, is it 24? Yeah, 24 credit points of core units. And the core units in our program are retelling stories, sources of children's literature, which looks at the way in which traditional stories are retold for children. I'm going to come back to the capstone in a second, the Engel 875. I'll just talk to the other ones first. We also have young adult fiction. It's a really popular unit. I really enjoy teaching that one, actually. We then have one of our more conceptual units, which looks at narratological concepts and how these are figured, handled in children's books. We then have a dedicated picture books unit. And then the final subject on the list there, children's literature concepts and theories, looks at the development of children's literary criticism. And that's because children's literary criticism is a fairly new area of academic study. It's about 50 years old, but it's still in some ways a really emerging critical discourse. And this unit gives an overview of how broader concepts and theories from literary discourse are then used within a children's literary context to develop a unique kind of literary discourse of its own that's suitable for children's books, because children's books are quite different and distinct from adults' books. And then Engel 875 is the capstone unit, literature and writing in professional contexts. And all students need to complete that unit before they graduate. This is actually a great unit in that it's designed to bring together all of the knowledge that students have accessed and generated throughout their program. And it's one that is divided into modules so that it gives students a chance to put this knowledge into different kind of professional practice areas. So there are certain, you can choose a module that you would like to, if you'd like to produce a journal article for a Journal of Literary Criticism. You can also design a school program, so it's a curriculum design unit. And then there's another module which is involved in the editing and publishing side of things. Okay, in terms of assessment, we use a range of different assessment modes and tasks in each of the units. And these go from things like traditional essays, which you'll probably have to produce in most of the units, but we also use tasks like annotated bibliographies, where you need to go to the library and research a particular topic. You then need to make, it's actually a way of getting students to take more engaged notes when they're doing critical reading and research. So an annotated bibliography is essentially a bibliography with notes, and when it's an assessment task, you're often asked to relate a particular secondary source to an essay topic or a research topic, and to speak around how that source could be used in pursuit of that, of researching that topic. We also use literature reviews, where you're asked to evaluate secondary literature, which asks you to focus on different kinds of research methods. And then we use graded class participation. So students are students are evaluated according to students are evaluated according to their contributions that they make in class. And we also use graded class participation for external students. And we have a couple of different ways of measuring it in an online classroom. So we'll do things like we'll ask students to present a discussion for 1 week, so to formulate a couple of questions for their peers and then to come back and respond to those questions. And also, quite importantly, students have the option within the program of completing a 20,000 word research thesis. And that is actually a value of 8 credit points, and students can choose a topic of their own choice and work with a supervisor to help develop that topic and to help them develop their critical writing. I'd really encourage you to take that option. I really enjoy working with students on their research dissertations, and it's a really rewarding process, I think. It's something that we encourage students to do at the end of their program when they've already got a kind of a complex overview of the different genres of children's literature and of the different possible topics that might be discussed there. Okay, careers. I talked a little bit about some of my students and their backgrounds and why they choose to pursue a postgraduate specialist qualification in children's literature. Many of my students are teachers, and they often use this program as a way of seeking promotion because it's quite different to everything else that's on the market. We also have a number of students who work in book publishing, and again, it's a way of setting themselves, giving themselves a qualification that not many people have and making themselves stand out from the crowd. We also have students who move into different types of arts journalism and magazine writing. Actually, the Sydney Morning Herald's chief reviewer of children's books, Angie Schiavone, is a graduate of our program. And we also have a number of children's authors who have completed the program and perhaps gone on to a PhD afterwards. So people like the Australian YA fiction writer Irina Savides has done the program, as has Ursula Dubosarski. So, connected to the Master of Children's Literature is the Graduate Diploma of Children's Literature. And the two are interrelated in that they're made up of the same subjects, but while the Graduate Diploma of Children's Literature is comprised of 32 credit points, the Master's degree is 48 credit points. And the two programs are designed so that students who decide to enrol in the Graduate Diploma of Children's Literature can, at the end, choose to articulate into the master's program. So it's a way of moving between the two. The same thing if a student enrolls in the master's program and feels that they're unable to complete it, they can exit with a graduate diploma. So it just gives some flexibility with the study. Graduate Diploma offers a shorter version of the Master of Children's Literature. We have the two students in the two different cohorts together in the subjects. So I think I've covered everything on that slide there. Okay, application process. You apply for the Master of Children's Literature and the Graduate Diploma of Children's Literature through UAC. And you can apply for internal or external modes, but once you're in the program, you can move between external and internal modes for individual units. You can start the program in either session 1 or session 2, and I can tell you now that the application deadline for session 1 is Sunday, the 31st of January 2016. There's still time to get your applications in, and the applications for session 2 close on Sunday, the 3rd of July 2016. And basically UAC takes care of all of those applications. So if you go to the UAC website, you'll be able to find all the information and how to apply.